Now originally from the top and from Dove's Quarry, which is right on the top, they were taken over to Ravensglass. At the time, the busiest port in Europe. This was done a lot by a gentleman called Moses Rigg. It's actually named Moses Rake after him. Now he wasn't a full-time miner, although by all accounts he was a good miner. He was actually a full-time smuggler. He was mining to cover up his smuggling. So what he'd do is he'd take his slates out by pack horse over to Ravensglass. Then rather than return with empty pack horses, he'd fill them full of rum and whiskey. We do believe he was distilling the whiskey himself on the top. Now obviously his colleagues and all the locals were very pleased with all this cheap alcohol. So they led the authorities on a merry goose chase for several years, but eventually he was caught and taken to court. Now the proper penalty at the time would have been a fairly lengthy prison sentence, but he managed to escape with an incredibly light fine. He'd apparently bribed the judge for a barrel of rum. The fine was enough so it looked as though justice had been done, but not so much the supply ran out. A little bit later in time, the slates were taken to Whitehaven by the road. But obviously you've got to get from here to the road. So what they would do is they'd have a wooden sledge, weighed about 80 pounds or 40 kilo, on the front of which was two poles. You pull the poles, the end's dug in. They then load a quarter of a tonne, that's about the same as half a small car, into the back. They then simply scree run down the side. They pack the scree nice and tight together to make a bit of a runway. This was obviously done by the youngest and the fittest men, and countless were killed doing this. Oh, no. We'll never know how many, records weren't kept. And then once they got them down to the bottom, the slates that weren't broken were weighed in. There was a hut around where that lay by it. What the men did then is they'd hand sledge down to the monkey shelf. And then along the monkey shelf to the Hawes, and then down to Keswick, where there was the railway. Now it got its name, the monkey shelf, two possible ways. One, when the railway got to Keswick, it brought the early tourists, the Victorian travellers, that were very wealthy. Now the tour operators of the day would load them into their tour coaches, which of course were horse-drawn, not diesel-powered, and they would bring them up here. Now the miners very quickly realised all these rich tourists around and thought of schemes of extracting their money. Now the legal one was when the tourists got to the monkey shelf, a pre-arranged signal they'd put on a show, hand sledging, monkeying around. Assuming of course they weren't killed in the process, when they got down to the bottom the Victorian travellers flicked them according to the realm. And then they'd pick the sledge up, bring it back up, do another load. Could have got its name from there, or alternatively, the engineer that designed and oversaw the building of it was quoted as saying, "You gotta be a monkey to get along."
You're going up there.
Yeah.
Built to a high tolerance. Right then, let's turn some lights on. Do you want to? Yeah. 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3. Right.